Hello, hello. Happy Monday. How's everybody doing? I am having all the things today. So bear with me. It's been a day of all the emotions. I think we just posted in the group about paying more in Q2 taxes than I made in 4 months. So like the dream job. And so that was super exciting and a cool realization. But then also you guys know that I'm super in love and attached to my fur children. And one of them is very sick today. So that was a bit of a bummer. She's having some heart issues. So just, a lot of highs and lows today, which is funny because that's entrepreneurship, isn't it? And it's also something Sarah and I talk about on Happy Thoughts all the time, is just kind of like the dichotomy of life, right? Like, and how it can be both, right? So that's where I'm at today. But what I really want to talk to you about is sort of what my journey has been to getting results in this business and the actual decisions I've made along the way. I think that last week, that was something that really resonated with y'all big time, is that idea of like, have you decided? Hey, Debbie, have you really decided? Have you decided about the outcome? Have you decided on what you're wanting? That kind of thing. And so I think we do that both on like a macro scale and a micro scale. So it looks like being like, this business is going to work, kind of high level, but then it also looks like the little decisions that we make that show that that's true and that get us there. Hey, Safia. If you're jumping on, say hi. So I'm going to share about some of the key decisions that I've made. I think I have about 6 or 7 that have really, made a huge difference in my business. So the first one, I'm just going to kind of dive into, but if you guys have questions along the way, feel free. Hey, Paula, feel free to let me know. So the first one is, hey, Dana. When I started this business, I really had an it's not if, but when mentality. And so I think that just helped me so immensely. And what I mean by that is I felt like I know this business is going to be successful. It wasn't like, is it going to be successful? It was like, I know. And then the question mark was around the when. And to be honest, I think having a question mark around the when really helped me, in the sense that when came really fast for me, but I think it's because I didn't put a date on it. So when I decided it's not if, but when, I think I got really committed to the outcome and really detached from the how, if that makes sense. So I wasn't like, it will be this in 3 months and this and that and whatever. And so I think that sometimes we hear like, get specific, set a timeline. And I think one of the decisions that really helped me was not doing that, but just deciding it's not if, but when. And here's why that helped me, because it really let me go all in on the work without the pressure, right? So like, I don't know about you guys, but we talked about this last week a little bit too, but I think like when we're entrepreneurs, we kind of are inherently like, fuck the rules, right? I think a lot of people were resonating with that last week. If you're a little bit of a fuck the rules person, drop me an emoji. But what that also equals is we really don't like pressure, which is one of the reasons we don't like rules. We don't want to have to like do it a certain way or follow some arbitrary thing. And so when we add the timeline to it, it almost feels like pressure and it feels like a rule. And so it becomes this, like stick that we're measuring ourselves against, and it just inherently feels bad for a lot of us. And I think what you have to know is what feels good for you. So in other words, so I ask my clients this all the time, is like, what's your relationship to FTR? That's so funny. I love that, Raquel. I think we need to start using that. Hey, Maggie. I think that, some of my clients have really different relationships to goals. Like some of them do really good with like specific timeline, specific goals. Some of them do really, really bad with that. And like the second they set the timeline, all they're doing is beating themselves up the whole time. Personally, I'm kind of like that. Like I don't do great with rules or really specific deadlines. It just doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't feel exciting. It feels like the pressure gauge gets turned up. And so again, first decision I made was it's not if, but when. I actually remember being on a discovery call with the first coach I hired. And I literally said that to her on the call. I was like, it's not if, but when. But I'm hoping that by hiring you, when speeds up a little. So I knew I wanted it to be quick. I wasn't like, oh, I'm just like going to hang out and be in this forever. I just didn't assign a lot of arbitrary things to it because I decided it was going to work, right? Like I say this to my clients all the time. Like, does it matter if you get clients in 4 weeks or 6 weeks? Like, no, nobody cares about that 2 weeks. So why are we making it so pressured and so hard, right? Doesn't mean you're willing to wait forever and ever endlessly. But the thing is if you've decided it's going to work, you're going to show up and take action that says that. It's like we talked about last week. Your decisions will always, always, always dictate your actions. So if you have truly decided it's going to work, you're going to show up and take action that aligns to that. And you're going to get the result. But if you had decided it has to work within this very specific time frame, your actions are going to get wonky because you're going to be trying to hit the time frame and not actually be in the process. So that was one of the first decisions I made. It's not if, but when. And again, I think that gave me the freedom to get focused and go all in, but I think it also gave me the detachment not to be super attached to a specific time frame, outcome, whatever. It really helped me detach. Hey, Elise, thank you guys for joining me. All right, so that brings me to decision number 2, which I kind of already touched on, but it was hiring a one-on-one coach. So I did that like basically right away when I started my business. And I am like literally just so grateful looking back on that decision, because here's the thing. It's not like I just had the money. I definitely didn't. It was definitely like a big investment. It definitely was a risk, but I really cut through the bullshit of spending that same amount of money on a bunch of courses and things and learning and thinking I needed all these magic pills. Like I just went all in on getting personalized support. And that decision helped me a ton, like so much. I think I probably made it coming from the therapy world, just knowing how valuable like one-on-one and personalization is. So I think I had that perspective, but seriously, that decision helped me tremendously. And here's the thing. There wasn't any one thing about that was like massively helpful. Like I can't cite, well, that coach told me this and I did this and then I got a result. It was like literally just the act of investing in myself, the act of having someone to process this with, the act of having someone in my corner, the act of having someone that was 5 steps ahead of me who I was like chatting with and whose energy I was in. Like I didn't even get a ton of support from her in the sense that she was great. I don't mean it like that. I just mean like I wasn't like reaching out 24/7. I wasn't, like the most active coaching client ever, to be perfectly honest. I just think that the mere fact of like having that support in my corner and deciding that I was worth investing in at that level, deciding I was worth getting the support at that level, and then being able to kind of transparently market myself in the sense that like I believe in coaching so much. I believe one-on-one is the thing. So I'm investing in it right now, right? So the other reason I think that was really helpful is because I feel like at the beginning of our business is when we're most susceptible to like all the like shiny objects and all the comparisonitis and stuff like that. I think as we get further and further and further along, like that stuff resolves itself a little bit more. But at the beginning, sometimes being in a group program is actually really difficult because you're hearing everyone else's challenges. And so you're almost taking that in, or you're hearing everyone else's wins and then you're comparing yourself. And so I actually think kind of just having those blinders and not having a lot of input, feedback, or even like data from other people really helped me. Like I had one coach I was working with, she was fucking killing it. And that was the energy and space I was in all the time, right? It's like, this is easy, this is fun, you can kill it, right? versus like sometimes when you're in a group and like there's 6 posts in there about like, well, I'm struggling with this, this, and this. It can do one of 2 things for you, just like goals can. It can be really normalizing and make you feel not alone, or it can give you all this shit that you like don't need, in the sense of like, well, what if that happens to me? And oh my God, she had this happen. And what if that happens to me? Or like, she got this result and I didn't get it. And so, you know, again, like it really depends on the person, just like it depends with goals, and you have to figure out what's true for you. But that was a decision I made, to hire a one-on-one coach right away, to invest at a really high level that really has gotten me to where I am. Hey, Amber, thank you guys for joining me. Hey, Maggie. That really got me to where I am in a big way, was just being willing to say, like, it's not if, but when. And I believe that so much, I'm willing to invest all this money I don't have. And then I'm going to show up like that's true, right? So then the next portion was a little bit interesting for me. Hey, Daphne. So I decided it's not if, but when. I got the one-on-one coach, and then there was a lot of things, you know, that I was hearing both in the industry and in particular from this person about sales that I just wasn't jiving with. Again, she was amazing. It just was like, we didn't have the same like vibe there, right? And I really beat myself up about that for a long time. And by a long time, I mean, I don't really mean that long, but like a little while, right? Thinking that I, you know, needed to like get out of my own way and do it her way and do it everybody's way, and like get off, you know, get off this block that I had or whatever. And I'm not going to tell the whole story related to that because it's long and I'm sure I've told it before and it's kind of not relevant here. But the point is, the next decision I made was to start giving myself permission to do things my own way. So put the blinders on, get the coach, right? Then the next level of decision was have the support, but still do my own thing and make decisions my way, and then ask for support around that. So it's like very interesting dynamic, which is like, you can really let yourself be led, or you can really take more of a leadership role. So like, as an example, I always say to my clients, like, it's your job to listen to your intuition. It's our job to put strategy around that. And the reason I say that to them is because I really think nobody's more of an expert at what they should be doing than them. So like, my job is to like meld around that and not to force them to fit my box, right? So that took a little time for me though, because I'm sure y'all resonate with this, but like, I'm a type A high achiever. I have 2 master's degrees. Like, I know how to follow the program and get the A and get the result and do the thing. So when I first got a coach, it was really easy for me to like take this passive role of like, yeah, I know all this shit, but whatever, just tell me what to do, right? And then I started to hit that wall where I was like, okay, but some of the things you're telling me are cool, they just don't feel good to me. And then I had to really decide, like, am I going to fight with myself about that? Or am I going to start to take a more active role as the CEO of my business and go, cool, I hear you. Also, not that, this. So how can you support me around it, right? Amber, I totally needed to hear this today. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. If you have any questions while y'all are listening, just let me know. Say hi if you're joining me, but I'm so glad that's resonating. So point being, I started to decide that I had to do things my way. Again, not the easiest decision ever, because sometimes it is easier to be led. But when you can go, this is what I feel, this is what I want, and then I need my support to match that, you step into a whole new layer of decision in your business. You step into being a CEO in like a way that is like hard to describe if you've never been there, but it really puts you in the driver's seat. And when you're in the driver's seat of your business, results are going to show up. When you're willing to take that passive role and like hope to do it right, you're going to work really hard and you're probably not going to see all the success that you want, right? So deciding to do it your own way, which kind of leads me to the next point, which is sort of the same point, which was like listening to my gut and doing what felt right. So not even just my own way, but like literally listening to my gut. Like, I'm going to use the partnership as an example for this. I had the idea for doing a lit up partnership, which if you guys don't know what it is, it's basically where I work with somebody. Instead of them paying me a full rate, they pay me 20% of their revenue. My current one-on-one coaching package is a base rate and then 10% of my revenue. Like I just really love this like partnership profit share kind of thing. But nobody else was doing it. Nobody had tried this in the coaching industry. Nobody was talking about it. Especially like I started doing base rate and profit sharing this year, like the beginning of this year. At the time, I was just gonna do, 20%. Actually, I think I started with 15. It doesn't matter. I'm rambling. But the point is, it was just like a really unique idea. Nobody was doing it. And it was such a gut intuitive idea. I was like literally in the bath and it was like basically like downloaded into my brain. And I had like kind of floated the idea out to a couple people in my world around that time. And I did not get great feedback. And like, it was like, listen, they weren't bad people. They weren't discouraging me. They were just like, oh my God, there's so much to think about around that. Like, I don't know that that's a good idea, whatever. Right. And I had a choice at that point. I could be like, well, they're probably right. I need to shut the fuck up and like keep doing what I'm doing. Or I could have been like, they might be right. And I still feel this in my gut. So I have to do it. Right. And that I think is a turning point in your business where you can be like, I might get it wrong. And I still feel like my gut is speaking up so strongly that I have to do it. That is CEO shit, right? Is when you're like, I'm willing to fall flat on my face because I feel strongly about this idea. That is actual entrepreneurship. Like the franchising shit of like, follow my 5-step system and hopefully it'll work for you. That's not real business. That's not real entrepreneurship. Like real shit is like, I'm willing to fall flat on my face for this idea, right? Debbie says this is hitting home. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that, Raquel. I think for me, deciding to go into business is kind of I have to do it my way decision in and of itself. I'm loving your talk today. Thank you. Raquel, it's so funny that you mentioned that because I think you're so right. And I see this so much with entrepreneurs, which is you make this huge, like, I'm doing it my way. I can't be stuck in corporate. I hate this mentality. I'm doing it my way. I'm doing it my way. I'm like making the leap. I can't live this life kind of thing. Right? And then we get into entrepreneurship and a lot of our old habits and tendencies come back, or we want to do the thing that feels safe. And so we want to find someone else's way. We're like, oh my God, I just made this like massively uncomfortable jump. Like, can someone else tell me what to do now? I'm not saying you're doing this by any means, Raquel. I'm just saying I think that's such a normal thing where it's almost like we make that I have to do it my way decision and then we like revert back because it felt like such a big thing. And then we're like, I have only so much like comfort level expanding to do. And so now I kind of want to revert back and just know like the system or know how to not do it my way. Right. And so I think there's almost like a reacquainting with that where it's like you may have decided that and it felt like a big decision. And then you kind of almost have to step back into it several times in your business, right? Where it's like, oh shit, yeah, I got into this to do it my way, right? And so I think it's this really interesting dynamic where I notice it's a decision I've had to make at several points in my business. But I totally get what you're saying. Like, we're inherently saying that by saying like, we don't want to do it this way. We want to do it our way. But then it's like so interesting how many times we have to keep making that same decision. Amber says, yes. Andrea says, thank you for saying that out loud. You're welcome. I don't know what it was, but you're so welcome. Raquel, you're so right. Yeah. So anyway, like I think next level is, does your gut really tell you something? And are you willing to fall flat on your face for the thing your gut is telling you? Because what I have decided, and I say this like often, which is my gut has never led me wrong, other people have. So if I know that's true, then I have to keep deciding to listen to my gut. Like that is an actual decision I have to keep making over and over and over. And it always gives me results. That partnership thing, truthfully, y'all, was like the best thing I've ever done in my business. It changed my business model to this day. It added so much excitement. I love how I charge now. I'm obsessed with the way I work with my one-on-one clients in this partnership model. Like it revolutionized everything. And it just came to me in the bathtub. And a lot of people thought it was a bad idea. And yet here we are. Did all of it work out? Did some of it not work out at certain points? Sure, there were things I had to test and tweak along the way. But like when you listen to your gut, it's always going to get you a step further, even if there are challenges along the way, versus if you're trying to fit yourself into someone else's box, it's just going to slow you down, right? Dana says, yes, I'm so excited for our session tomorrow. I definitely want to follow my big decisions because I trust my gut, but then I experience the anxiety that comes with the discomfort. I can't wait to push through and bring my ideas to fruition. Totally. And I think that's normal, right? I think it's just, again, it's like that continuous decision to trust, to trust, to trust. Andrea says that it's CEO 101 to do something because you feel strongly about an idea despite the risk of falling flat on your face. Absolutely. I mean, I think I said this last week too. I've been saying this a lot lately because I just think it's really relevant. But like one of the biggest gifts for me of going to business school was that I realized that like nobody has their shit figured out. Meaning like in business school, what you mostly study is how big businesses fuck shit up and then hopefully how they fixed it. I mean, right, you're just doing case studies all the time of like things they did wrong. And so what that kind of instilled in me was that it's okay to do things wrong. It's like kind of normal and that's what happens. And so I think that's helped me to trust my gut a little bit more, is knowing that like no great business ever got it right. Amber says, this is awesome. I can see how it'd be a leap of faith, but you took that step and the benefits have been tenfold. Yeah, totally. The benefits are always, always, always there. Like even in business school, right? The reason we're studying this is because there's a million lessons there, because there's so much info, because it's the thing. Like they could, like those businesses could stay stuck and still be small businesses, but they didn't. They took all these massive leaps and some of them worked out and some of them didn't, but like that's why they are where they are, right? Lacey, do you have any tips to easily recognize pure fear over not feeling right for me? Yeah, I mean, I think for me, and like this is obviously a really personal feeling, but for me, like fear is all up here. It's like me going, but is it right? Is it not? I don't know. What would people think? What does everyone else think? Like it's all heady and it's like a lot of buzzing and noise. When it's my gut, I'm just like, no. Like it feels solid and sure. Like that just is a no for me. Like I don't even want to overthink it or think about why. It's just a no. So it's more like a feeling versus like a being in your head thing, if that makes sense. That's sort of how I experience it. So surely over time I've gotten better at discerning that, but when you can kind of feel where it's happening and what it looks like, it really gets easier. Raquel says, I love what you said about being willing to fall on your face to trust your gut. It's not even if it works out every time or not, but that you learn to trust yourself because it's all part of the process. Exactly. I think that no matter what, it's always moving you forward. When you're listening to other people, it's like a crapshoot, right? If you're listening to your gut, it's going to move you forward. It might be a rocky road, but it's still going to move you forward. If you're listening to other people, it's a crapshoot. I think about this a lot in terms of like, I got divorced last year, which y'all know. And, oh gosh, this feels a little vulnerable to say. Since we're in the privacy of this group, I'm going to share it. But like, before I got married, I heard a lot of stuff like, well, when you know, you'll know. And I never felt like that. Like I never knew. And at the time I just like really rationalized it and was like, not everybody just knows. It's just like, this is the next step. This is the right decision, whatever. It was like very heady. And then when I decided to ask for a divorce, like I knew it was going to be a rocky road and I knew it was going to be a hard path and like I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I knew. I wasn't like thinking about it and like, I mean, listen, I put a lot of thought into it, but like it was like a gut, like I just knew, and I knew the path wasn't going to be easy, and still I just knew. And so those were two very different experiences for me. And listen, I don't want to make a commentary on whether or not you should know before marriage. I still don't have a fucking clue, to be honest. But what I am sure is that those two like mirroring experiences really taught me the difference between like gut and head stuff. So I think that's probably a really good example, is like you might have something else in your life, not business related, that you've experienced that you can compare it to. Okay, so the next decision I made was to focus on, how did I say this? I made a little note. On making income goals that supported my life goals, right? So this is sort of along the same lines of what I was just talking about, going through a divorce last year, which was, it would have been, so last year would have been my second year in business. Yes. I think that's right. So it doesn't matter. But the point is, I was at a point in the trajectory of my business where taking off and really, really, really scaling was the smart thing to do. And my life goals just did not align with that at the time. Like I was like, I need room to breathe. I need to like rebuild my life. I need to get through this. I need to focus on me. And so there was a period of time where my income goals did not line up with my life goals. And I just felt shitty, to be honest. Like I was just like, I know this feels bad. Like, I don't know how I can do all of this. Like, can I scale my business really big this year? Yes. But the path to that, like, as far as like what is practically required of me, feels bad. Can I focus on myself this year? Yes. But like, I have this big goal. And so how am I going to do both? And like the decision to make my income goals match my life goals was one of the best decisions I've made in business, truthfully. And got me way farther income-wise than if I had fought with myself the whole fucking year, right? So sometimes I think that we just get ourselves in these value conflicts that don't get resolved, so we just stay stuck or stay miserable. And like the biggest thing that impacts your income and your results is if you're feeling stuck and miserable. I mean, really, right? Let me see what everyone's saying. Amber says, oh gosh, girl, I can totally relate on the marriage next step versus knowing, right? Isn't that interesting? That should be a whole nother conversation for this group, but it's so fascinating, right? Raquel says literally everything you were saying about marriage and divorce. Oh, you got divorced last year. Oh, very interesting. I love that. Oh, not that I love that you got divorced, but just that like, it's that same feeling. So you know what it's like and you can replicate that in your business, right? It's like knowing versus knowing or like Amber said, next step versus knowing. Hey, Claire. Okay, so do your business goals match your life goals? So I'm going to use just an example here, which is like a lot of my clients have kids, but I'm thinking of one in particular that I worked with the end of last year. She started her business so she could spend as much time as possible with her family, right? It was amazing. Her business took off really quick. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. All good things. Except what was happening is that was not really aligning to her goal of spend more time with my family. And she was kind of on this kick of like, okay, like let's scale to 500K. Like, again, amazing that she was even in the brain space of being able to think about that. But the truth was what that would have taken for her to do in the short amount of time she had been in business was a lot. It would have taken a lot of time, a lot of investment. And it just wasn't what she wanted. It's just that she got caught up in the spin of the industry and of what you're supposed to do. And listen, I've totally, totally been there. But when we like really sat down and looked at like, what are your life goals? Like, what is going to make you happy? Because the only point of scaling to 500K is if it makes you feel happy and excited and pumped and all these things. And if it, right, contributes, if that just becomes this thing that you then feel pressured to do, what's the point? The point of all of us doing this business, being in this thing, is to feel like happy and fulfilled and not stressed and all these things, right? And so sometimes we make money so much the path to feeling that that we get caught up in the momentum of that. And then we like build this life and business that don't actually serve us. Like if I would have, let me step back. I did so much work on myself last year, y'all, after that divorce. So much. And it's been so great. I thought I had done work before that. Holy hell. That was nothing compared to some of that work. But the point is, I wouldn't have been able to do that had I continued on that path that I was on, thinking that I had to get to 7 figures, had to get there, right? I am 20 times happier now, I am certain, because I took that space, because I did that work, because I invested in team, that kind of thing, because I made the decision for my business to support my life and not the other way around. And I look back and I'm just so thankful to the Lacey who made that decision. Because I've seen it the other way too. I've seen it where people do make a ton of money and really fail and then say, fuck it. Like I was listening to this podcast the other day. Ugh. I wish I could remember which one it was. But the woman from Young House Love was on it. Do y'all know what Young House Love is? It's a really cute blog. I used to follow it like all the time. Anyway, the point is basically what she was saying is they built this it was on the Lively show. Anyway, she was saying that they built this like mega successful blog. Like they were getting like 7 million views a month or something just like unheard of. And nothing about it supported. Oh no, my audio is getting crazy. Shoot. Let me unplug here. There we go. Nothing about, let me know if that's better, Raquel. Hey, Maggie. Yes, one of my favorite Anchor quotes is, to be happy at home is the ultimate result of all ambition. Oh, that's good. That's real good. I like that. Anyway, so this woman from Young House Love was saying they built this massive following and like basically nothing about what they were doing at all supported their life or their family or their home or whatever. They were writing this whole blog about being like young and in love and renovating their house and creating a family, and nothing about it was actually supporting their family. And so they pretty much like burned it all down and like didn't do anything with it for a year, and like all this stuff happened. And the point is like that could seem like the holy grail, right? And what happened is they got it to that point. They were probably making more money than they knew what to even do with. And they ended up just like lighting it on fire basically because it was so not aligned with their life goals. And so you could do that, but that's just like the harder path, right? It's like to build a thing through like hard work and push and force and everything that doesn't actually fit, and then get to this point and then have to go, oh, too bad we cultivated all of this and now have to like burn it down because it's not serving us, right? So if you start building that now and make your business goals support your life goals, when you get to that point, you don't have to burn it down, right? It may take a little bit longer, but you'll be so much happier along the way. I am a believer that it probably won't take longer, truthfully. I think it'll actually be accelerated, but like, let's roll the dice. Even if it does, isn't it still worth it, right? Maggie said, oh, Sherry Petersick is her name. Yeah, Young House Love. She's so great. I really like her. And I like how openly they talk about that. So anyway, that was the next decision. Make your income goals, support your life goals. I have 2 more. The next one is hiring and investing in support and not just knowledge. Hey, Krista, I'm so glad you're loving it. So hiring and investing in support and not just knowledge, like game-changing decision business-wise for me. I hired a VA pretty early on, and like I was saying to y'all earlier, I hired a one-on-one coach basically right away, and so I consider those things like team and support. I consider like knowledge more like courses, programs, that kind of thing, right? So hiring and investing in that support, literally the best decision as far as forward momentum, because what I was able to do is like really focus on the things that were creating results in my business instead of trying to learn and apply so much stuff. Like, I actually was on a podcast recently and they were asking me, I forget the context, but they were basically like, what are you doing now that's vastly different than what you were doing when you started your business? And I was like, I mean, like, not a lot. Besides, I delegate shit a lot more. But what I mean by that is, like, I would tell somebody that was brand new to get on live stream and build a Facebook group. And that's what I'm fucking doing right now, right? I'm building my group, getting on live stream, I email my list, I go on podcasts. Like, I'm not doing anything like crazy revolutionarily different. What I'm doing is being in the experience of it and then learning to do it better and better and better. And I'm growing a following as I'm doing it, and so on and so forth. And so what we can get so caught up in is that there's like some magic pill that we have to learn, versus what we have to do is execute and apply, execute and apply, execute and apply, right? So when you hire support, you can execute and apply so much faster. When you're trying to fill your brain with knowledge, it takes so much more time, and it's so hard to be discerning about like what things you should actually be doing, what's important, what things work for your business and what things don't work for you, what your gut is telling you and what your gut's not telling you, right? Dana said, oh my goodness, yes, I just hired an OBM a couple weeks ago and she's already changed my life. It's so great to focus on my zone of genius and not worry about the things I was killing myself to get done and felt so tedious. Totally. And it helps you figure out your path faster because you're getting the raw feedback and you're going, oh, that live stream went really well and that one didn't. Versus like taking a whole course on like how to live stream and do it perfect, right? That slows you down so much more. But if you did it and that went well, and then you went and processed it with your coach, and then you went and had your team, like whatever, add bullet points after or something. Again, you're accelerating the process so much faster by being like in it and testing and tweaking. Like I was talking to a client recently about should she pay someone to write her email sequence? And I was like, well, like it depends. If you think it's because they're going to do it 20 times better than you, no, because they're going to have to test and tweak with your audience too, right? They might have more data and more expertise on that, but like, right, like they don't know some secret about your audience that you don't know. If you're paying them to do it because they can do it faster and quicker and more effectively, potentially, yeah, let's do that. But like, let's not invest because we think there's a magic bullet. Let's invest so we can get to the testing, tweaking, improving stages faster and easier. Does that make sense? So again, like, don't take the course on doing live streams. Go fucking get on live streams a bunch. Go get a team that's going to do other stuff so you actually have time to get on live streams, whatever it is. And I'm not against live stream courses. I'm just using those as an example because I'm on one right now. But the point is, the support, the place to process, the help getting things done, the ability to test and tweak and actually be in stuff is so much more valuable. The other thing I want to say about testing and tweaking is like, give yourself time. Like this is the thing I see all the time too, which is like, I did something for a week and then I want to figure out what I did wrong. Testing and tweaking looks like giving shit a chance to really play out. Like, so I had a client start with me about a month ago, and she's someone who is just like uber consistent when she commits to something. And so like the first week she put out content, she was like, it's like kind of like crickets. We're like, whatever, that's normal. Second week, a little better. It's like the fourth week and she's like, I get it now. Like I'm seeing it. I'm not saying I'm like, getting 10,000 people on my list, but I see so much in 4 weeks. Just showing up and doing this thing every day is making all the difference in the world. And it's showing up and it's evolving and more people are commenting, more engagement is happening. And so, that's just one of those things too, where when we're saying test and tweak, like it's a process over time. It doesn't mean stop doing it. It doesn't mean something's wrong after 3 weeks. It just means give yourself space and permission to be in the action and doing it, right? Claire says, love delegating. Yes. Kelsey says, do you have any insights on how you transitioned in between coaches? I feel like this is rarely discussed, but what to do in the in-between. I've done one-on-one, a mastermind, and now I'm on my own and considering a course from one of my dream coaches, but I don't want to rush into another one-on-one just because it's what is known to be needed. I'm sure you have a lot of insight from your personal experience. Yeah, truthfully, I've had times where I've had a coach and I've times where I haven't. I think that that's like a little bit more of a gut thing. I definitely am not a believer that you have to have a one-on-one coach all the time. And I think that's what you're kind of saying, is that it's sort of like, that's the thing. And I just don't agree with that at all. Just like, obviously my background is partially in therapy, and like, I don't think you should always have a therapist. I think there is a time that is appropriate to have a therapist and is really useful, right? You don't always need one. And I think it's the same thing with a one-on-one coach. Like, are you making forward progress now? Are you feeling really good? Do you feel like you know what you need to do to get to that next level? Are you actually doing those things? Like, when you hit a wall on one of those, when you're like, I don't actually know what I need to do, I can't see my forest through my trees, I'm not really showing up for the things I need to do, that kind of stuff, that's when it might be time to like get that next level push, that next level support. But like, I'm definitely not a believer that you always have to have a one-on-one coach. Personally, for me, it's been really valuable to have times where I did and times where I didn't, because it's made me trust myself in the coaching process so much more. So now when I'm coached, I have like much more perspective to be like, yes, that, no, that. Because I've had times where I've had downtime to like really trust myself. So I hope that answers. Oh, you had more to your question, Jen. Sorry. I feel like I need this time to apply all I have learned. I just invested in a VA. I love that you're sharing this and it's so helpful. That's so funny. I'm sorry I didn't read the rest. 100%. So when I stopped working with a coach is when I invested a ton into team. And it was a really smart move. And then once I got to a certain point with that team and was like ready to like get support to go to another level, I like definitely got that coach again. I mean, I really consider coach team, but when I say team, I mean like OBM, VA kind of stuff. So yeah, I think there's just different seasons. I'm really obsessed with that quote. That's nothing blooms all year. So I think there are times to like be in that, like doing the work of like self-development, coaching, evolving, whatever. And then I think there are some times where we just need to like level out and just like get people to help us with stuff and not feel like we have to be in this push. That's also why I like taking downtime from coaching, because sometimes I want to just like skate for a little bit. And I don't mean skate in the sense of like not grow. My business is always growing. I mean skate in the sense of like really make sure we're doing all the things we're doing well and that I have all the support I need to do that before I'm trying to push to the next thing. Like I want a well-oiled machine. I don't want a house of cards, right? So I think that totally makes sense. Dana says, love it. Just do it. Debbie says, I think I've gotten gun shy about hiring help based on my prior experiences. You know, Debbie, I always go based on referrals anymore with like stuff like that. So, you know, I would ask in this group, I'd ask people that you know, but I would definitely go based on personal referrals. Diana says, such a good reminder that testing and tweaking takes time. I think that often we get so impatient with seeing results that I don't give the testing and tweaking a fair shot before declaring something a failure and moving on to the next. Oh my gosh, totally. We're also just conditioned in this like online space to think everything happens so fast, right? And listen, I'm someone who did have results really fast, but what I can tell you is that I put in like several months of work into a month, basically. And I definitely don't know that I would advocate for that. I mean, I'm fine with it and I'm happy with the lessons I learned from that, but like it all takes time. It always takes time, right? Kelsey says, thank you so much. You're so welcome. Okay, so the last one was hiring and investing in support and team. Here's the last decision. This one is a good one, and it's also one that gets me a little preachy, so I'm going to try to rein it in. But it's like serving your clients really fucking well. Have you actually made a decision to serve your clients really fucking well? Because I think sometimes in this space, and listen, this is not like a across the board thing or a criticism, it's just the truth, which is we can get so focused on making the money that we forget about the part where we earn the money, right? So we can get so caught up in the like marketing and selling and making that we really forget about the serving and serving and serving and serving. So one of the things I'm insanely proud of in my business is that the majority of my clients become repeat clients. And I mean, like, we're talking like they work with me for 6 months and then they hire me for 6 months again. That is like the vast majority of my clients. Most of my clients I'm working with for upwards of a year. Some I've been working with for 2 years at this point. It matters so much if you're serving your people exceptionally well. All the marketing in the world does not make up for that. At this point, like, most of my clients come from referrals. I mean, certainly they come from this group and doing live streams and stuff like that, but like, they're coming and going, I saw you in your group and then so-and-so said you were amazing and so I want to hire you, right? Maggie says, preach, go for it. Maggie, you're a perfect example. I've lost count of how many people you have probably referred to me over time, right? Because it is the number one decision and goal in my business to serve my clients really, really well. Now, this doesn't mean like, crossing my own boundaries or like over delivering to the extent where I feel like I'm not in an even energy exchange or feeling shitty or whatever, but it does mean consistently making sure they're having a stellar experience, consistently finding small ways that I can make that experience better, consistently showing up for them, right? And so, like, at the end of the day, that is my priority because that is the thing that's going to grow my business, right? Your business is going to be built on happy clients and repeat clients. It just is, right? Any service-based business that's true for. Happy clients and repeat clients are the absolute building blocks. And so if you're too worried about making the money and you're not worried enough about earning the money, you are going to be in this constant hamster wheel. Like, I made my first 100K with like 400 people on my list. I think it was like between 400 and 500. I don't even remember. I wish I had that number because it would be magical. But the point is, you don't need giant followings to make super great money if you're actually serving your people. The way you need giant followings to make super great money is if your people are buying one thing from you and going, well, that was shit, and now I'm going to go somewhere else. Or they're not sending other people to you, right? Maggie says, because you're awesome, thank you. And yes, you can serve with excellence without burnout. Exactly. So are you paying attention, which is such a great point, Maggie, to the ways that you can show up as a great coach? So I ask my clients to do this all the time. I'm like, make a manual of what makes you a great coach. Put it in a manual, write it down. I promise you on there, you're not going to write replying at midnight. That does not make you a great coach. That doesn't make you a great role model. That doesn't make you a great mentor. Showing up fully present and ready for the call. That's a good one, right? Responding within a certain time frame with thoughtful responses. That's a good one. Having all the answers and making sure they never have a problem. Probably not, right? So do you know what makes you a stellar service provider? And do you know how to like really work that and really focus on that? Or is like serving your clients kind of like the thing you do after you're selling all day, right? Claire says, so true. Safi says, because you're awesome. Oh, I love you. Thank you. But like, this is beautiful. And thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Because this is like, someone's going to hire you because someone sees someone else getting on your live stream and going, because you're awesome, right? Because you're great. Because you're amazing, because you helped me do this, because I got this result from working with you, right? So like, when you start doing that, other people are marketing for you. When you serve your clients really well, you don't have to be marketing 24/7 because other people are doing it for you and on your behalf and are willing to share that. And so that's another decision, is like serving your clients your top most important priority in your business. Because if you decide that that's true, the growth is there. I'm telling you, right? People are re-signing up with you. People are recommending you. People are singing your praises. If you're not making that your number one priority, it's okay. It's easy to get caught up in not doing it. Like, everything in this industry is about sales, scale. And so little of it is like serve well, serve well, serve well. So it like no shame in that game if you've got caught up in doing it a different way, but totally a reminder that like you get to decide, you get to make that decision, right? So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to like recap really quick. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Otherwise, thank you guys for watching. But so here are the real big decisions I made, kind of like in order along the way that have like made such a difference. I guess the only thing I wouldn't say was in order was serving my clients really well, because that's just like foundational since day one. But first decision, it's not if but when. Second decision, hiring one-on-one support and putting on those blinders super early. Third, doing it my way. Fourth, really listening to my gut and letting that guide me. Fifth, making income goals that support my life goals. Sixth, hiring and investing in like support and team and not just knowledge. And then finally, that underpinning of like serve your clients and serve them really effing well. If you make those decisions in your business, like you will find success. It's that simple, right? If you haven't decided that it's yours, if you're not showing up and listening to yourself, it's going to be harder, right? So your choice, your path, but these are super valuable ones. You don't have to do it my way. You don't have to hire a one-on-one coach right away. You don't have to invest in an OBM, but just think about these on a high level of like, am I deciding? Am I investing in support? Am I feeling supported? Am I serving well? That kind of thing, right? All right, let's see. Yes, raving fan customers, exactly. Hands up for referrals, totally. Kelsey says this is the most important aspect. Yes, absolutely. A lot of people leave out serving their clients. Kelly, I so agree with that. You're welcome, Amber. Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Claire. All right, guys, so grateful to you for jumping on with me. If you're here and have questions, if you're watching the replay and have questions, feel free to pop them on. I hope this was helpful, and I love you guys, and thank you for joining me. Bye.